How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to an episode here on Let's Build Twitter. As always, I am Ethan, or Unknown Coder, your favorite underqualified senior software engineer. And today we're finally going to go ahead and chill out a little bit and do a little bit of a smaller episode because we've been doing a lot of mammoth episodes and just getting a little bit tiring for everyone, as well as me. In this episode, we're going to continue working on notifications a little bit. Primarily, we're going to get it so that whenever there's a new notification from one of your followers, it will actually go ahead and pop up here. So to do that, we're just going to do a little bit of work inside of the app, as well as we're going to make a new hook and a couple other things. So let's go and hop straight into the code and get to work in here. So the first thing we need to do in our front ends, we need to go ahead and bring in our notification to the front end. So let's go ahead and go into our global interfaces. And inside global interfaces, I'm going to go ahead and go to the bottom here. That way I can just add a new interface. And at the bottom, I'm just going to say export interface. We're going to go ahead and just call this notification because that's what it is. And inside we're going to have notification ID, which is a number. We will have our notification type. So here we're going to have new underscore post. We're going to have repost. We will have like. Whoops. Let me do this properly though. Like, repost, new post. Make sure we do the ORs. After like, we'll have reply. After reply, we will have bookmark. Again, I don't know if bookmark is actually one, but it is what it is. Message or follow. And I need to remember to go back, and there's actually should be like one more, and it should be called like mention, and we need to figure out how to do mentions. I completely forgot about it, but it is what it is. So there's our notification type. We need notification timestamp. So whoops, notification time, and then this is a lowercase stamp, and this is going to come in as a string, and then we will have acknowledged. So acknowledged. And this will be Boolean, so whether or not we've read it. For our case, this episode, they're all going to be read. We will have a recipient, which is a user. We'll have an action user, which is a user. And finally, we'll have a post, which will be a post or null, because like if it's a message or a follow, we're not going to have one on there. So that's our notification. And I'm going to go ahead and fix these really quick. You don't need to watch this, but I'm going to put semicolons here because that's kind of the convention I've been using. Cool. Then eventually we'll also have message in here, and then whatever other types of notifications we'll need, we'll deal with those as well. That is our notification. Next, we need to go ahead and create a notification slice to kind of deal with all of our notifications. So let's go and open up our Explorer. Let's go into Redux slices, hit A. Let's go ahead and make a notification slice.ts. Go into here, close out of that. So we need to go ahead and import a couple things. So import our create slice. We'll go ahead and bring that in from that just to make it a little bit easier. We need create async thunk, and we also need payload action. Payload action, like so. Let's go and import all that. Then we'll also want to go ahead and import Axios. Axios from, and then Axios. And then we also need to import our notification. So import notification. In next episode, maybe I'll go ahead and bring in, or I might next episode. And let me go ahead and do this before I lose my train of thought. For some reason, it's not coming in. Let's go ahead and go back to here. And then I think this is in utils / global interfaces. Okay, I was getting off track. So next episode, I think we'll go in and make so we can actually get all of our notifications. Right now, we only get the unread ones, and we'll kind of do it with the notification area. So next, we'll go ahead and say interface, and this is going to be notification slice state. And inside notification slice, we'll have new post notifications, which will be a notification array. And then we will have our post action notifications, which will actually also be a notification array. We will have our message notifications, which will be a notification array. And finally, we will have our follow notifications, which will be a notification array. And then eventually, whenever I figure out mentions, it'll probably just go into post action notifications because technically you're being mentioned in a post. So it's kind of like a post action. So that's good to go. Next, we'll say const initial state is a notification slice state. And let's go ahead and say equal to this. So our new post notifications will be an empty array. Our post action notifications will be an empty array. If I could type, our message notifications will be an empty array. And finally, our follow notifications will also be an empty array. Cool. So there is that. I don't know if we actually use Axios in this episode, so I don't know if we end up needing it, but we'll see here. Export const notification slice, like so, is equal to create slice, excuse me. All right, and then let's go ahead and do this. So first we need our name. This is just going to be notification. We're going to kind of manage our notifications here. We'll pass in our initial state. Then we have our reducers. So right now we don't have any async reducers. We're going to have some eventually. I think I was just kind of planning ahead, bringing in Axios and async thunk. It's probably going to complain a little bit, but it is what it is. So first we're going to go ahead and say received notification, like so. We'll have our state, and then we'll also have our action, which is a payload action. And this is going to be of type notification. So go ahead and bring in a notification. And then depending on what type of notification is, we're going to do some work. So this is going to be a little bit ugly. We're going to have a switch case. So we're going to switch on our action.payload.notification type. And then our first case will be for new post. So whenever there is a new post, like so. Okay. So here we'll say state is equal to, and let me make sure this is, I don't know why this can't handle switch cases very well, but we'll say state. We'll say new post notifications :action.payload. So I'll add it to the front, and then state.new post notifications. And then this is going to have a pretty similar approach to all this. And then we'll go ahead and return state. Next, we'll have a case for all of like our post actions. So case like, we'll have a case for reply. We'll have a case, for repost. Then we'll have a case for our bookmark. So in this case, we want to do the same logic here. So we'll say state is equal to, and then we fix that and fix this. So here we'll say state, and then we'll say post action notifications. It's going to be equal to action.payload. So we'll do the newest ones on top, state, and then post action notifications. And then again, we'll return the state, and then we'll also have a case for follow. So if it is a follow, we'll say state is equal to, fix this, and then we'll go ahead and say state. And then we'll go ahead and say follow notifications. This will be action.payload. So again, put it up front, state, and then this is follow notifications. Once again, we'll return the state. And then finally, our last case for now is case for a message notification. So if it's a message notification, we'll say state, maybe state is equal to, clean this up, and then state. And then we'll go ahead and say message notifications is equal to action.payload, state, message notifications. And then we'll return the state. And then finally, we'll have our default just to make our linter happy. And here we'll just go ahead and return our state. So that is our receive notification. And we're also going to go ahead and have a read notification, which this might end up being an async thunk. I'm not 100% sure. So this might be refactored, but for today, this is what's going to work for us. So under our receive notification, let's go ahead and set up our read notification like so. Let's take in a state, and this will take in an action, which is a payload action of a actually, this one's just a string, I guess. I don't know why this one's a string. I guess we'll see. I don't remember, I guess. Switch on, once again, our action.payload. I think we just pass in the type here, and that's why it's a string, just to make things a little bit easier. So for now, we're just adding one case because we don't have anything else to read. Just save a little bit of time. So case will be new post, and then state will equal to state, comma, And let's fix this to clean that up a little bit. There we go. And then here we'll go ahead and say new post notifications is an empty array because we read all of our notifications. Go ahead and return our state. Whoops, return state. And then we'll just set up a default for now. So default, and default will just go ahead and return the state. So for the time being, that's going to be our slice. Later on, I might refactor this to be an async because we might just send some stuff to the backend, because technically speaking, whenever we read a notification other than new post, we want to go ahead and actually acknowledge it on the backend so it stops showing up. So that's something to keep in mind. So next we need to go ahead and export a couple things. So we'll export const, and then we'll go ahead and export received, whoops, notification, and read notifications is equal to notification, and I better type this right, notification, oh my goodness, slice, and then this is going to be dot actions. We need to export default, and this is going to be notification slice dot reducer. And I spelled something right or wrong for read notifications, S there, save that. Cool. So now we just need to go ahead and add this to the Redux store and then start making some changes. So let's go into our Redux store. So now inside the store, let's go ahead and set up our reducer. So underneath feed, we'll go ahead and say notification. And this will go ahead and be notification reducer. But we need to go ahead and bring that in. So let's go ahead and come to the top here. So import notification reducer from dot slash slices slash notification slice, like so. Now our notification state is all set up. Now we got to do the fun part, setting up the WebSocket and then getting some components working. So I think what we'll go and do is let's go and open up our Explorer. Let's go ahead and close out of Redux. We don't need that for now. Or the utils. Let's go and open up our hooks, hit A, and we're going to say use web sockets. I don't remember if I use, yeah, it's just called websocket.ts. So now what I think I want to go ahead and do is let's just first export function use websocket, like so. And I think we're going to go ahead and just pass this or grab this from the app.tsx. So let's go into our app.tsx. And inside of app.tsx, we have this let client. So let's go ahead and bring this in really quick. And then we need user, we need the connect, we need on connect, we need on air, and then we do not need the use effect. So let's just copy this. I'm not going to delete it because we still need, I think, client, or we still need connected and user or something like that. But let's go back into our use WebSocket, and then I'm going to go ahead and just paste this and space CF, and then let's go and start bringing stuff in. So client is going to come from stomp.js. We need use selector from Redux, and we need our root state from our store. We need to grab use state. So let's grab and grab that. We need our sock.js. So let's go and bring in that. We need over from sock.js, I believe, or stomp.js. Cool. And that should be everything. And we're going to go ahead and do some more work in here. So that should be fine, I believe. And I'll double check all of this. We also need a dispatch, which we'll bring in later. Let's just go back to app and just clean this up a little bit. So inside of app, we do not need our stomp anymore. Connected is going to come from our use WebSocket, so we don't need that anymore. Connect is also going to come from our use WebSocket, so we do not need that. We do not need on connected because that's going to be handled inside of our use WebSocket. We don't need this. We don't need this. And then our connected and connect are going to come from our use WebSocket. So we can actually go back into use WebSocket and export this or return it and then bring it in here. And this will stop complaining. And then we'll actually work on the use WebSocket. So inside use WebSocket, what we're going to do at the bottom, we're going to go ahead and return an object, and we're going to go ahead and return connected. And we're going to also go ahead and return connect. I don't remember if this is the order that I return these. Doesn't really matter, but let's go back into our app. And inside of app, underneath user, we can go ahead and say const, and then connected, and connect is equal to used WebSocket. like so, and save that. And now we can check to see if the user's connected and then go ahead and connect. And now theoretically, this should be working exactly how it was previously. So if we actually go into our front end, open up the console, we should be able to see that there is a connection. So let me go ahead and refresh just to see. You can see we are still making connection to the WebSocket. So that is all working. Now we actually want to do something whenever we receive a message. So let's go back into our code and do that. And then we can start working on the component that pops up whenever there is a new post, as well as kind of showing on the navigation when things are working. So back in our code, let's go back into use WebSocket. And inside of use WebSocket, the primary thing that we need to work on is on message received. So what we want to go ahead and do is we want to go ahead and bring in our use dispatch. So let's go ahead and say const dispatch will be app dispatch, maybe if I could spell, equal to use dispatch, because we're going to go ahead and dispatch to our reducer whenever we go ahead and get a new notification coming in. So now whenever we get a message, so on message received, first we need to go ahead and parse it because it comes in as a string. We're going to say const notification is equal to json.parse. We're going to go ahead and say payload.body. And unfortunately, this has to be a payload of any. I tried just making this a payload of like, I don't know, like a notification or something. It doesn't really work. You can maybe make it a string, I'm not sure, but this works for me. So it is what it is. So now we're going to have const notification. We're going to go ahead and dispatch received, notification. And we'll go ahead and pass in that notification like so. Save that. And if we want to, we could also print this, but I'm not that concerned about it, but it is what it is. So this is working. If I wanted to pull up Redux as well, it might work. Redux is kind of finicky on the private version. I use the private browser just to kind of keep some of my personal information off, but it is what it is. That's good to go. So we already set up the use WebSocket inside of app.tsx. So that's good to go. Now we should be ready to go ahead and set up our new component, which we're going to go ahead and call feed more post. So let's go and open up our Explorer. We're going to go into our features and we're going to go into feed. We're going to go into components. We're going to hey, and we're going to go ahead and say feed more post / feed more post.tsx. We're also going to go ahead and say feed more post.css. Just go ahead and make that CSS so it's ready. Let's go into our feed more posts. Let's import React from React. And then let's also go ahead and import our / and then feed more post.css so it's there. Let's go and export and then const, and we'll go ahead and say feed more post. This isn't going to take anything in because we're literally just going to read in our notifications. So we say const user state is equal to use selector. So I'm bringing use selector state root state like so. It's going to be state.user. I have const post is equal to use selector, and this is going to be state, if I could type state root state, and here we're going to be state.notification.new post notifications. I probably could have called this notifications, but it is what it is. We'll have a const dispatch is equal to an app dispatch equal to use dispatch like that. And then now we're going to go ahead and say const format number of posts. So we're just going to go and clean up and make it so that if there's a ton of posts, it's going to be a little bit of a smaller number basically, or it's going to cap out. So I'm going to say post is a number. In this case, it's going to return a string. We're just going to kind of format the string a little bit to make it a little bit nicer. So we're going to say return post less than 100 question mark. So if there's less than 100 posts inside the list, we're just going to go ahead and say post like so, which is technically a number in this case. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and return 100 plus. So basically it's going to say, hey, if there's less than 100 posts to show that we haven't seen yet, we're just going to say there's this many posts. If there's over 100 posts, we're going to say, hey, there's 100 plus posts. And it's just going to clean things up. I think Twitter actually caps out at like 60 or something, but it is what it is. So next we're going to say const load new post. And this is basically going to read our post and then also refresh our feed And I just did this to kind of, I guess, make things a little bit easier on us. For the view standpoint, we probably could have just taken these posts and put them directly inside the feed, and it kind of worked, but I didn't know what kind of side effects that's going to have down the road. So what I went ahead and did, said if our user states dot logged in, so if they're logged in and they have a token, so user state dot token, so make sure they are actually completely logged in. We're going to go ahead and dispatch, and first we'll read our notifications, so read notifications, and we're going to go ahead and read our new post notifications, and that'll go ahead and clear those out. And then we're going to go ahead and dispatch, and we'll dispatch a load feed page. And then here we need to bring in a couple things, so token will be user state dot token. That's why I need to make sure that's good. User ID is going to be user state dot logged in dot user ID. Whoops. User ID. And then session start is going to be a new date. So go ahead and load the feed page. And then now we should be ready. And this is going to be dead simple. We're just going to go ahead and return a div here. Div the class name equal to feed dash more dash post. And inside we're just going to have show. We're going to format. Whoops. Formats. I forgot what we called this already. Format number of posts. We're going to go ahead and pass in post.length, and it's going to say post. So literally it's just going to say, hey, show more posts, this many posts, and then on click we'll go ahead and load new posts that were in that queue. So that is that. The CSS is super simple. Let's go ahead and deal with that. And I forgot to do the React FC here. I guess it doesn't really matter, but I like making sure that it knows it's a React function component. Let's go to the CSS. The CSS is also very, very simple. So we're going to say dot feed dash more dash post, like so. So here width will be 100%. It's just going to go into the container above the post. Height is 48 px. We're going to have a font, whoops, maybe a font dash size of 15 px. We're going to have a color of pound1d a1f2 a1f2. Going to be Twitter blue. Display will be flex. We're going to have justify content in the center. We'll align items in the center. We're going to have a cursor pointer, so cursor pointer. And then we're also going to go ahead and have dot feed dash more dash post colon hover, like so. And then here is kind of a background. In the background will be RGBA of 0, 0, 0, and then 0.1, a very, very light black. So that's good to go. Now we need to go into our feed post and actually use this. So let's go into our feed. Inside of feed, I'm going to go ahead and clean this up a little bit because this is pretty gross. Don't need a bunch of that stuff. Whoops, we needed that still. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we will import our feed more post, like so. Let's come down here, and down here, I believe just above the post, so just above the post, we're going to go ahead and we also need to check the notification state. So I'll bring that in a second. So notification state, and we're going to say new post notifications dot length are greater than 0. We'll say and then we'll say feed, whoops, feed more post. So if we have new post notifications, we'll deal with that. I just forgot to bring in the state. So here we'll say const. I'm going to do that. And notification state will be equal to useSelector. State, root state. And we'll bring in state dot notifications, like so, and that should fix this issue. So if we come back down here, you can see it's not complaining anymore. That's good to go. Now there's one final thing that I want to kind of do before we end off the episode, and that is to make it so that we can actually see a notification on the left sidebar. That way, you know, kind of like, hey, there's a notification, there's a new post, whatever. To do that, we need to go into our navigation component. So let's go hop into there. Inside of navigation, this is going to be a little bit confusing. The first thing we need to do is we need to go ahead and import a icon from Interior UI. And this is always a pain in the butt. I messed it up. So we're going to import, and this is called circle icon from, and then it's going to be at MUI/icons-material and then /circle. It can never find these for whatever reason, but there we go. So now we need to go ahead and bring in our notifications. So let's go ahead and come below our states. So const notifications equal to use selector state root state, and then this will be state.notification, like so. And then we need to go through and kind of check which notifications we have. So around the home, we're going to come down here to this image, I believe. Actually, we're going to come to home.svg, want to come to the right one. Here we go. And what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to wrap the home SVG inside of a div. So I'm going to say div class name equal to, and this is going to be called navigation dash notification dash wrapper. Let's go ahead and bring in home. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Let's go ahead and bring in home. Copy this up here, paste it in. And we're going to do this for a couple of them, but basically above the home, we're going to check to see if we have any notifications. We're going to say notifications dot new post notifications dot length is greater than 0. If that's the case, we're going to go ahead, I guess we'll clean this up a little bit. So I'm going to go one of these like so, and I'm going to do one of these just to clean it up a little bit on camera. So if that's the case, we're going to say and we're going to have our circle icon, and I believe, yep, SX equal to, and we're going to say color is going to be Twitter blue. So pound 1D A1 F2. Okay. Our height is going to be 8px, so 8px. We're going to have width of 8px, so 8px. We're going to have position will be absolute. We're going to have top of -4px. And finally, we're going to have right of 0. And let's see what I did wrong. I need to close this off. Oops. There we go. So if we have any of those notifications, and let's see what is going on here, notifications, and this should be closed. The SX should be closed. Let me double check this. Okay, it's just a little bit finicky. Cool. So there's that one. And now we need to go ahead and just basically bring in this circle icon for all the different notifications that we want to look for. So next, let's go ahead and go down. Well, actually first, I'm going to go ahead and copy this guy so I don't have to write him out again. And now we want to go down to our notification SVG. So here, let's go ahead and wrap this again. So we're going to say div, and this is going to be class name equal to notification dash, or actually it's navigation dash notification dash wrapper. Let's go ahead and grab our notification, bring them in like so, clean this up, and then same thing again. Let's go ahead and bring this guy in. Whoops, I messed up because I copied it. Let's go back up and copy our circle and bring it down here. There we go. So now instead of notifications, new notifications, we're going to send a notifications dot, and this is going to be follow notifications dot length is greater than 0. Or our notifications, notifications, and this would be dot post action. If I could type post action notifications dot length are greater than 0 in this. So if we have any follow notifications or post action notifications, we'll go ahead and put a notification dot above the notification icon. And finally, we're going to go ahead and wrap this. So div class name equal to, and this would be navigation dash notification dash wrapper. Let's go and bring in our message SVG. So let's go ahead and copy this guy, paste it in there like so. Come back up, grab our notification circle. I'm back down. Let's go ahead and bring it in here like so. Okay, so this one you guys could probably guess. This one should be if we have any message notifications. So we can go ahead and clean out the post action notifications, and we'll go ahead and say here. So instead of follow notifications, we'll go ahead and say message notifications like so. And that should be all set up and good to go. So now all we have to do really now is to do the CSS update, and then we should be good to go to test this really quickly and call it an episode. Ended up still being a little bit longer than I expected, but it's better than those last few ones we've dealt with. I'm not sure what this is mad about. It might just be mad because it wants it kind of bind, I guess. I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and see if it gets happier if we try to do it like this. Add some parentheses around the or. Okay, that's all I'm mad about. So let's hop into our navigation.css. So inside navigation.css, I'm just going to put this at the bottom, I suppose, because I don't really know where else to put this. We're going to go ahead and say dot navigation, whoops, dash, and then this is going to be notification dash wrapper. And all we're going to have is position is going to be relative. So we can go ahead and use that absolute position. That's good to go. Let's hop into our front end, make sure everything still looks okay. As you can see, looks fine. We refresh, looks fine. So let's hop into Postman, log in as Rick, because apparently I don't follow Summer anymore, and get a notification going here. So let's hop into Postman. Inside Postman, we're gonna go ahead and log in as Rick. Cool. Let's go ahead and copy his bear token. I know this is a little bit small. And then let's go ahead and go into the headers and go into our authentication header. Can't see anything. Paste in that new bear token, and then go into our body. We're just going to say testing the notification controller again. We'll go ahead and send that. It says testing notification controller. Fingers crossed. You can see we have one new post. You can see we have our little dot here. And if we go ahead and click on show one post, it should go ahead and reload the page. So let's go ahead and click on show one post. You can see we got our testing notification controller. I'm not sure if the views work 100%. Oh, there it goes. Views are a little bit finicky, even with that, even the way that we have it set up, but that is working great. Next episode, we'll probably go ahead and try to get notifications working. The issue is I'm not that popular on Twitter, as you guys have probably noticed, so I don't have that many notifications, so I don't know what all the different notifications are supposed to look like. So I might need to do a little bit of digging, but we got everything kind of infrastructurized set up. We should be able to start working on those. So anyway, guys, I think this is going to be where we wrap it up. As always, if you guys did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Everything helps out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you do want to see where we started out from absolute nothing to where we are now, there is a playlist in the description down below that takes us from that exactly that. But as always, I appreciate you all for watching. This has been Ethan Uncoder. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out. Have a great one.